welcome to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hi, good morning or day. I'm Karista.
Today we are going to talk about letting go of old self and
Mhm.
things that are no longer aligned to you. But before we do that, we just want to make a couple of quick announcements. Of course, we have our Patreon page. Yay! So if you feel inclined to not only support us, but receive really cool information, because we will be doing exclusive content only on our Patreon, which includes 3 card pull every month for the collective and messages from Mount Glass. And you can go to our website, lovealwaysself.com, and go to our higher self tab and scroll on down, and you can go to our Patreon from there, or of course patreon.com /lovealwaysself, and sign up. And we have
A holiday giveaway,
holiday.
which, if y'all have been listening, then you are fully aware of our holiday giveaway. We are posting about it on Facebook and Instagram. And how you enter is by liking our page and sharing the post. And yes, we do allow for multiple entries. So if you see a new post, please share that and tag Love Always Self to be entered. And we've got a list of what we are providing in the giveaway. It's on the most recent Facebook post, but the chakra opener mala beads and the Hamza palm selenite stone, a cleansing kit, all of those gifts are from Picasso Jasper. And then we will also have a Love Always Self water bottle from our own shop, which again, you can find that on lovealwaysself.com if you want to find some different pieces of clothing, sweaters, which I'm wearing one today. I'm not going to like stand up and show you things, but they're really comfortable. So far, we've liked the products that we've purchased so far, and we will be putting some information on there about how they fit us as well, so that you will have some more information to go off of when you are choosing your cool Love Always Self swag.
Oh my gosh, I know. And the hoodie, the white hoodie that I have, has the two-toned on the hood itself. So I got the white. I chose the white color because you can kind of go in there and build your own. So you can
Mhm.
pick from any of our designs and then choose what you want to put that design on. So whether it's a tank top or a hoodie or a onesie, I have to keep mentioning that because it's so freaking adorable. Or hats or water bottles or whatever, and you basically just build your own attire using our designs, which I think is really cool. So yeah,
It was fun for us. Yeah.
yeah,
Also making them and look forward to making more in the future too.
exactly. All right, to the topics.
Onward.
Yeah, today I'm in a bit of a mood today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just I am I'm very entrenched in some of the activities that I have um been participating in my own little world. And when I say that, I mean in the sense of uh, there's a lot of things that have been presented to me in my personal life that feels like it's being presented in the sense of you need to face this.
Mhm,
And a lot of it has to do with who I feel like I used to be, right? This
mhm,
this persona that I believe I had at that time in my life, right?
mhm.
Whether that was about, I don't know, 5 years ago, or maybe a little even shorter than that. I would say probably about that time
5.
frame, when I was just fully like unaware of who I was, um, or who I really wanted to be, right? And a lot of that, we talk about coming into our own awareness and starting to align ourselves into the things that we like and that we don't like, and all of that fun stuff. But there are parts of me that still haven't let go of things that are no longer aligned to me. And I know that they're no longer aligned to me because they don't feel good, right? Like when I think about it, or if I try to participate in an activity that might have been something that I would have done back in the day, or like, or people I would have hung out with. I have this resistance internally to it, right? And that has a lot to do with when you start to raise your own awareness of things that you do feel good about, the things that you are more aligned to. You really come into this focus of what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy. And when you're presented with the things that don't make you happy, um, especially in this kind of transitional phase, man, it really just it takes a little bit of a toll. And I feel like sometimes we don't talk about, that. We don't talk about that when you're going through, and some people refer to it as an awakening or, whatever. I'm going to call it self-aware, right? But like the we don't talk about how hard it is sometimes to let go of the more egoic self that I used to be, right? Certain aspects of it.
I think that you are correct that, there's many times when we are, going through this awakening, right? This creation of awareness within us, where it's not all like waking up to feel good stuff, right? Oh, I'm all connected. I've always got my guides with me. I'm more in tune with spirit or source or what grounds me. And those are all great and beautiful things. But what gets lost in some of that at times is we are actually in that transition. We are removing the old skin and blossoming into this new butterfly, when we used to be a caterpillar.
Right.
And we we would be remiss if we didn't give some space for honoring those transitions, those shedding away of old self, to allow us to step into this new state of being.
Yeah. Agreed. And so, I was just hearing shadow work, right? Like this part of you that follows you around, but it's just not the same part of you that you are today. And kind of turning around and taking a look at that shadow and just really being like, I want to face you dead on. I want to acknowledge your existence, but how do I find a way to transition from feeling the hurt from it, from feeling, I don't know, like
A
friends not
sense of
inviting,
loss.
yeah, like, and I'm just going to say it, that I have some friends that, will reach out to me, friends that are mostly from my partying days and things of that nature. And they'll reach out and they'll, invite me to certain things. But then there are some that I see doing a lot of stuff that I used to be pretty close to, and that, and I'll get this like FOMO kind of sense about it.
Mhm.
Um, and then I'll start to feel hurt. Like, well, why didn't, I get invitation to that, or something of that nature. And then I'm also like, well, wait a minute. Like, you don't participate in any of those activities anymore. You haven't reached out to those people either. So there's some ownership on my side that I'm still looking at as well, right?
Mhm.
And then there's like that want that I don't want to. Like that's not really aligned to me anymore to do any of that stuff. So it's that kind of complex scenario that sometimes plays around in my own space, and I'm sure other people can relate to that,
Mhm.
where there's things that do make me happy now that I do like to do, that I do, and people I do want to see and I try to hang out with and I actually put forth the effort for. And it's no offense to anyone else in any way whatsoever, but at the same time, I know what's driving my force forward and I
Mhm.
know what's aligning to me, but it still sucks figuring out the whole letting it go portion of it,
Yeah.
you know?
I think that when we are living our unconscious life, we tend to bring in people that help us to ignore and set aside insecurities. For you, we chatted about this a little bit earlier. For you, you said that you had a large fear of being alone.
Yeah, I did.
And so that caused you to bring in a lot of people into your life. Now, quality, that could be a questionable thing, right? But it wasn't about quality then. It was about quantity to keep yourself occupied so you wouldn't be forced to spend time with yourself.
Yeah.
And the the time that you're in now, you are actually desiring spending time with yourself. And you want people that align and understand, or maybe not even understand, but are open to hearing out what you're going through and just receiving love without judgment.
Yeah.
That's the time of life that we've transitioned to now. And so, unfortunately, that means that there's a lot of unconscious people that we had previously in our lives that are no longer in alignment with our current beliefs and what we feel we need for ourselves. And unfortunately, that means that some of that old skin, right, is falling away. And of course, some of the skin, there's comfort in there, there's reassurance. We knew what to expect from those old selves, those old relationships, even if it was surface level. And now the people that aren't going deeper with you, you're finding less energy needing to go towards those relationships. I
Yeah.
don't know if I said that right or not,
No, for
but
sure. I'm definitely following along with that. And there's a lot of truth behind that because I there's these moments in time where okay, so Carrie made a joke earlier and this is just really funny, but she said, sometimes you'll take those rose-colored glasses off and you just make this like like, "Oh
I
no,
don't like
I don't like it." And
it.
then you put them back on. And I was like, "Yes, that's exactly what it's like." It's like you get faced with something that you don't like. It drives a little bit of fear and self-judgment into it, and then you're like, I don't want to look at that shit right now, and then you put those glasses right back on and you just keep proceeding even though you know you're not aligned to it anymore. And that happens, and it happens with me too. So
So let me ask you, are you still afraid of being alone?
um I think that the answer to that question, if it's yes or no, is definitely yes. um I can face that, right? Like I can and even when I say it, I wanna, like, ball up into, like, a tortoise shell, you know what I'm saying? And just, like, retreat, but, um, but we wanna practice, like, letting go of that kinda fear, and so, for me, yes, I do feel like there are times where I would love nothing more than to be alone alone, but then there are times, a majority of the time, I would probably say that no, I don't want to be alone, and there is some fear that that would happen, right?
So let me ask you, are you alone?
No, shit, I'm not. And like and that's A, we'll say it again, you are never alone. Like even when you perceive that you're by yourself, you're not. And so that is comforting. And I know that, right? Like
Mhm.
especially when you practice, connecting and things of that nature, you know that for a fact that you're not alone. Um but yeah, I'll let you finish what you're saying.
So is it possible that fear can come up for you and you start to look at those old friendships and acquaintances and feel like that is your filler
Um
or miss that filler?
Sometimes I do miss the filler. Yeah.
Mhm,
Sometimes I do miss the filler. Sometimes I do miss the social aspect of it just
mhm,
because that was the persona that I was most connected to for a very large portion of my adulthood, and that was constantly being surrounded by large groups of people. And
mhm.
I use that as a way to get out of my own space, to not have to ever face my own space.
I'm
So
just seeing how these last 2 years have served you in that,
yeah.
the whole sitch, as you put it.
Yeah. Yeah. It required, yeah, that thing. It required me to remove myself from the social equation quite a bit. And by doing so, I was then also required to face myself. Now, granted, I went through a very life altering medical situation that played a huge part in that as well, right? That I'm literally 1 year from today. And so this has kind of been a tough year all around, just not only having to really face not just that circumstance, but who I am and all the traumas that I've been trying to navigate through. And I think this is one of those. I feel like this is one of those and I don't want to call it a trauma because it's not really trauma, but it's more like there's a dynamic of who I used to be that I'm learning I no longer am. And because of that, I'm having to face some of the fear of missing out of that person and who she was.
I just got some imagery. Let's talk about quality and quantity, right?
Mhm.
So previously you had a few quality friends, but more so a large quantity
Yeah.
of people that you would call friends. So when we look at foods we eat, okay, so when we eat foods that are higher in nutrient content, so fruits and vegetables, whole grains, those kinds of things, right? We don't need to eat as much, but we get so much more benefit from those quality nutrients. Whereas if we were to eat like 4 cheeseburgers versus a salad, right? You have a shit ton of
Especially after.
calories. Yeah, that's why I'm laughing. You have a shit ton of calories, but
Yep.
there's no nutrients. So you're not feeding your body. So similarly, the quality relationships feed your soul,
Yeah.
whereas the quantity relationships, they cause a drain on your
It's
body and
it's
your spirit.
getting over the the want of the aspect of we're going to use that cheeseburger versus the,
Mhm.
more natural foods that are better for you. And it's the want still of the juicy, tasty cheeseburger that was so delicious, right? Even though you know it's not good for you.
Well, I think
It's
that, in that regard, it's good to have a cheat meal every once in a while, right?
yeah, that's true.
So maybe it's also good to dip your toes back into those lower quality friendships also as a reminder to how that feels. Sorry, there's like a little mosquito.
It's
Did I
okay.
just go cross-eyed? I think I did.
As real as it
So,
gets over here.
but I think it's good to continue to test those relationships if the desire is there, because what happens, when if that person wants to hear more about, this conscious living that you're now experiencing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that has to feel right to you.
Yeah.
So those um, more surface level relationships, they may stay at surface level and you may dabble every once in a while. But then again, if you don't have that energy, if you don't have that desire, not out of a fear based desire, but, oh, I just want a cheat meal desire, right?
Right. I keep hearing I keep hearing also there's an element of fear of acceptance of who I am now,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So I'm not
And
the same person I was when a lot of those friendships that I've
right.
would participate in, right? I'm not the same person at all. And I'm proud of that because I'm actually very proud of who I've become. But I have no idea what growth they've been working on, right?
Oh,
And
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so I also have this like I think there is fear in there that says I have no idea if we'll even be able to to
M-
continue this. you know?
Many times our fear of judgment is based in our own judgment of ourselves.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
And same with acceptance.
Yeah.
So maybe this is your time to learn to fully accept yourself.
Yeah.
So then receiving acceptance from other people goes straight into the fuck it bucket.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And again, hey, fur babies. Um, that's something that I know I'm still working on, right?
Mhm, mhm,
I actually had a conversation with our coaches about this exact topic, actually. And we discussed my fear of seeing my family for the holidays because you and I have been doing this podcast, releasing a lot of information of abilities that I've learned and practicing and my viewpoints. And I had a lot of fear on whether or not that was going to be accepted by family, by
mhm,
certain family members. Um, and so we did have a pretty decent sized gathering for this most recent holiday, and uh, I was so loved. I was so accepted. I was asked questions about it, and it was just very loving. And it removed all the fears that I had. And again, this is something that I know I'm working on, and that is stop telling their fear-based stories in my head before it even happens,
mhm,
and staying more present and
mhm.
the happiness that I have been creating. And
I think
so,
it's
yeah, go
being
ahead.
open to whatever happens
Right.
rather than just having,
It's my control issues.
oh, what's that?
It's my control issues of not being able to control the outcomes of certain situations. so,
So when we first logged on or started, recording, I was shuffling um, my energy oracle deck, and I haven't pulled it out in a while. And I just, while we were sitting, just kind of preparing for this, I just got an image of playing with cards. So I pulled them out, and I think it's really interesting what fell out at me or us, because I was thinking about this whole conversation
right,
about transitioning, about letting go of what no longer serves us, so that we are clearing space for more of what serves us and
right,
more of what we're aligned to. Right, you
right.
got to take out the trash to be able to collect more.
yeah.
Right.
Shit.
Oh gosh, that just led me down a whole nother thought process
yeah.
of
I was like,
that
wow.
we, we handle one thing, we let go of it, there's going to be something else that comes up. But that's because we're clearing space to be able to address these fears, these hurts, these patterns that again aren't serving us any longer. So the first two that popped out today were the thinking woman, I don't know, and envy.
what? That's amazing.
So, you've been thinking a lot about, shedding old skins, letting go of maybe who Shyra was previously. And this morning came up some envy, right? Without a
hmm
doubt,
Yeah,
that was definitely,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. Um, because we felt, we desired to have those social connections again.
Yeah.
We felt left out of being invited to an event, and whether or not that event would have served us didn't really come into question. It was just, I wasn't invited. I'm having FOMO, right?
Right.
I wish at the very least I had been invited, even if I decided to decline,
Right.
right?
Right.
So in that envy card, we recognize that there's still some attachment to old Shyra, to
Yep.
who she was, and that's okay, right? We're not saying that's wrong, or
Nope.
not saying that's bad or anything else. And then we're talking about how we've been opening the door to spirit, right?
Wow.
We cleanse our old ways
Your deck is just on it.
and we move closer to spirit. We realize that we're not lost on anything. Nothing, we haven't lost anything. We're always connected. We're never alone.
Nope.
We may feel lonely at times, but we are never truly alone.
Yeah.
And as you continue down this path with spirit, what is going to come from that is releasing of those old things that no longer serve us. And we're going to create more caring connections, which is actually what you need.
Oh, that's
It's not quality,
beautiful.
or
That's
it's not quantity, it's
beautiful.
quality. Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting and I wanted to share that with you.
Wow. I mean, that is aligned as all get out.
I know,
And
I know. And they've been sitting here. They've been sitting here this whole time. Just
that's
waiting.
crazy. That's crazy. I love it. And this is, and honestly, like I shared with you this morning, as I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself, like, which by the way, that's okay to do. I've
Yeah.
got no judgment towards myself for feeling that way because I know that I'm being presented with something that I needed to learn.
Mhm,
There's,
mhm,
that's the thing where I go through this practice of, okay, I'm upset. Why am I upset? What am I needing to learn right now? Why am I being faced with this at this moment, right?
mhm,
Like I under I understand that aspect of it. That's part of my awareness. And part of that awareness is working through it.
mhm.
In whether I choose to take my time to work through it, whether I process it quick, like that's okay.
Or
There's no
even
wrong or
dabble
right
back at,
way. Right.
it's
Right.
okay.
I know that it's all happening at whatever time it's happening for whatever reason it needs to happen, right? So like
Mhm,
there's always that aspect going on. Um, and it did require me to not only face a lot of it, but it allowed me to have this conversation. It's allowing me to share this information with a larger audience, and hopefully this resonates with others, and then they have the awareness to look at it and take whatever actions they choose to take to bring about a better reality for themselves. So,
I think if you're feeling resistance, look at that. Why?
yeah.
What is within you that, may be fear-based or maybe a judgment on yourself. So where is that coming from? And take a moment to validate and acknowledge what you're feeling. Don't just try to push past it and be like, oh, I'm okay. Putting it in my box and compartmentalizing. That works sometimes. It does. But that's not meant for every time. And so taking excuse me, sorry, stumbling over my me. I lost my train of thought. Take a minute to validate yourself. Be okay with feeling what you need to feel. But, remember to dive a little deeper and look for that love within yourself. And remember that again, you are always connected. You are never, ever alone. You have all the information that you need already within you. We just have to take that time and that space to ask ourselves and love ourselves through it.
Yep.
And again, it's about quality, not quantity.
125%.
So when you are letting go of the old, you are clearing space for new. So
And
don't be
try
afraid. And if you are, it's okay too.
and try not to clear space for more shit.
I mean, unless it needs to come up and out.
Right. To the other bit. So, thank you for not only having this conversation with me today, Carrie, but enduring some of my vent sesh before we hit record. Um, there is growth in every opportunity that comes about. And this was an opportunity for me to grow. And hopefully, this gives an opportunity for somebody else too. So,
And remember, you are the sun.
shine bright.
Mhm. Shine bright like a diamond.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, just thinking that song. Okay.
Love you all. Have a wonderful, beautiful day.
And don't forget to love first
Love last.
and love always. Bye, everybody.
Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista,
And I'm Shyra.
and until next time, remember to love first
Love last
and love always. Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.